It's time for Dents and Dreams, a paintless dent repair podcast focusing on how you can use the fruits of this wonderful trade we call PDR to achieve your wildest dreams. I'm John Bideen, your friendly neighborhood dent reaper and host of Dents and Dreams. Now, let's get started. Let's get started indeed. And today I have none other than Mr. Chris White from Keco Tabs and I don't know, King of Glue Pole Repair. How you doing, Chris?
Yeah, I'm good, John. Yeah, thanks for having me on. I've really, let me start by saying, man, I've really enjoyed getting to know you because there's just, man, I don't know how many people, probably people who listen to this regularly know you way better than I do, but man, you're like an onion. There's a lot in there. I mean, it's not just the guy that, invented a cool tool. I mean, which you did, obviously. You're doing a lot of different things. I mean, no kidding. I don't just throw this out there. I can tell you're a highly intelligent guy. You think things through from a marketing perspective, and I'm just it's been a joy to get to know you. And I mean, really all that, and just, I would call your intentions, super honorable for a lot of reasons, so anyway, and I've really, I couldn't be happier to be on your show. And listen, Cocktail is like one of my favorite movies of all time. So.
I love when people get it. I love when they get it on the Cocktail. So yeah, that's definitely the inspiration, and yeah, not hiding that one at all. But yeah, and making me cry on my own show, Chris. I mean, it's not fair.
Yeah.
It's not fair at all. No, I do appreciate all the kind words, and yes, it is really good to get to know you too. You, I guess, came more to the forefront here in the last couple of years, but I hadn't seen much of you before then, and but yeah, now I'm seeing you more and more on other people's podcasts and doing your own lives and all that good stuff. So yeah, it's good to see you out in the world and getting out there. But speaking of getting out there, Keco's been around for, I mean, a long time, but in the PDR world, when did you guys first started making tabs? I mean, what are we talking? Are we talking early 2000s, late 90s?
Yeah, 11 years ago now, I think. Yeah. So yeah, it's been a long time, and I think that's an interesting story. And I think that it would really play well to you and your audience, and because I see how you take funny things like shows or whatever and try to create life lessons out of them. And to me, what we've done is really the message is that if you want things to happen in your life, you have to be very intentional. And so we are, primarily Keco for the longest time was a contract manufacturer of component parts of other people's products. That's what we did. The company has been in existence since 1963. I've been, it was my first job out of college in 1994. And then I worked my way to managing it. And then, the guy that owned it decided to sell it to me rather than to give it to his kids, to be honest with you. And they were all 10 years older than me. I'm super thankful that happened, but it was, just it's something that you don't expect to have happen. But ever since I went to work there, people, the previous owner and the rest of us would sit around and say, gosh, man, it would be cool if we had our own products. It'd be cool if we, and you just make a better margin. And when you're just making parts for somebody else, they kind of it's more of a I would call, you just don't have a lot of cards, right? You don't have a lot of
Hmm.
and your margins low, and you're doing a lot of what I would call hard manufacturing work, and not reaping much financial benefit from a margin perspective. Um,
So
yeah,
it's kind of like the PDR world. It's the difference between doing wholesale work to retail work. Like,
yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I think I would imagine. I mean, obviously, wholesale we got to do more volume, and it's not as appreciated. You've got used car managers breathing down your neck. That would be kind of like your contractors
that's right.
complaining about their parts, and now in retail, you get, I mean, customers are over the moon, excited and happy. You saved their baby. They love you, and I
That's
mean,
right.
I'm sure you have that coming from techs all over. I mean, with all the different products you guys put out, I mean, so many of them are just better than anything else available out there, and they're doing the job, making our jobs easier. And I know I get, people from everywhere just thanking for this or that, and when your customers reach out to you just to say thanks, it's a huge thing, and I'm sure you've had plenty of that. I know
Yeah.
I thank you. I know I thank you for everything you put out there.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it is. That part is amazing in the fact that you know uh, technicians, PDR technicians, over in the collision space, the technicians there, guys really want to do the finest work they can do. They want to do the best work they can do. They want to do the right thing by the car, and they're passionate about it. I mean, they get excited about tools that make them a better technician, and that's something that I just didn't fully expect to have developed to the point it has, where, you know, we've got another little tagline that says, your passion fuels our passion. And that's what we think about all of our technician friends, is that, man, that they get so excited about a tool that is a great tool for them, that it makes us want to make our tools even better. It just drives us. So but yeah, that's where gosh, whatever, I guess it's actually 12 years ago now. It was a January 1st when I walked into my plant, and I told everybody, I said, look, we're a products company. And they said, you know what, we don't make any products, Chris. And I said, well, we've got to be intentional. We've got to change who we are, and it starts with the mind, right? Before we have any products, if we sitting and waiting for something to hit you over the head, you're just going to die doing. You're going to get old and die doing that. But if you
Hmm.
decide that you're going to be a products company, and now you're going to be intentional about trying to make things, and man, we made golf tees and practice golf balls, and all sorts of things. And we got into making hail tabs, and actually Sid Emmert from Dentcraft really, really decided to help me. Really put a lot of he, I can still see his face. Look, he was kind of sizing me up, as I was telling my story and telling him I wanted to make my own products. And he was this far, from ready to make his own tabs. And he really just backed off and said, look, I'm going to tell you everything I know about the tabs that are out there, what's good about them, what's bad about them, and then you just take it and do whatever you want with it. And of course, then we put our understanding of plastics engineering and technology, behind that. And guess what? We At the time, we made the very best tab. Those the old dimpled tabs that are more or
Hmm.
less obsolete now. Almost overnight became the number one tab on the market. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, I've started pushing 11 years ago, and that was from the guys that trained me and helped me along. That was the only that was the only thing. I mean, it was get those dang Keco tabs immediately. And then you know what? There was some still of those worth tabs, those big purple
Yeah.
ovals.
Yeah.
But but
You
yeah,
know, those are good. Those are good, and the reason why they're good is because the shape that you get with those when you pull is not the shape of the top. It's that rib in the back. So
yep, yep.
they actually in a way work a little bit like our dead center crease tabs in the fact that
Hmm.
they have that nice rib back there behind that allows you to pull a bit of a sharp, and then you get that flex on the surface, which helps you hang on and kind of cheat your surface area a little bit. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, before the dead center crease tab, I mean, I would cut those worts. I'd cut the wings off and turn
Uh,
it into a crease tab. A lot of guys do that. I think I stole that idea from one of the groups or something like that. Um, but yeah, that was a popular methodology. But
mhm.
once again, you guys made it better. So
Yeah, it's just in a way that tab, like I say, that tab was kind of ahead of its time, and I don't think anybody, including us, understood at the time why it worked. And there was some tabs that worked and some that didn't, and people didn't really understand why. And really, that's what when we, invented the dead center technology, and now it's a patent pending technology that's in a number of our tabs on the line, the hail tabs, the crease tabs, the centipedes, and even in the super tabs now we have the dead center technology. That it just was something that has been a tremendous like breakthrough, I would say, in tabs, knowing that yeah, you have to have really two things in a tab design that is an area of flex and an area of rigidity. And that area of flex is really not what determines the shape of the pull, but it's the backside, the area of rigidity that does that. And so, yeah, it has allowed us to be able to glue pull things that just weren't possible just a couple of years ago. So.
yeah, yeah. So how did you? I mean, maybe I'm going too far, and if we're trying to get a little bit too much of the secret sauce out of the jar here, just shut me down. But how did that aha moment come to play when you went from the tabs that were out there into the dead center? Because developing these technologies can't be cheap because you got to build an entire mold.
That's
So,
right.
I mean, do you have whiteboards and guys in lab coats writing out equations,
Right.
or were you guys just playing with stuff and kind of modifying it? Or, I mean, how did you come to those kind of conclusions?
Well, there's a couple different things. It started in the round tabs, and really what the conversations were around is that when as a novice myself, it was at that time I didn't go around the country and watch a lot of guys work, but I could watch them work at the trade shows at MTE. I could watch. The Dent Olympics, and I could see the glue pulling side of the Dent Olympics. And, honestly, it always amazed me, even with the very best glue pullers in the world, that there was the amount of effort in doing a full paintless dent repair on, call it a typical hail dent and a rail. The amount of glue pull time was this much, and the amount of knockdown time was, this much, right? I mean, it's just that it was disproportional in my mind how much more knockdown time there was, to actual pull time. So then I, started, Jonathan's Van den Fontaine has been, someone who's really helped us with the understanding of paintless dent repair, the understanding of the collision market, because he comes out of both, and then really helped us, really with a kind of, there's a number of our products that really have his signature on them. But on the hail tabs, and as I was kind of bringing that subject up, that it is the fact that there's so much knockdown, and then really he explained to me why that was, and why it's the fact is that the center just seems to stay low, right? And so the
Yep, yep.
center, the tabs that existed just weren't really pulling the center out, and so you had that little bit of volcanoing that was just natural, and so you had to work all the way around that volcano to try to get it to lay down flat, and then pull multiple times, and ultimately, so and I just started thinking about that personally, just trying to think through, well, why is that? Why do we not pull the center better than we do? And then all of our tabs early on, to back up for a minute, all of our tabs early on were the concave shape, right?
Yep. The
Convex, I guess. Yeah, I get
the
those two confused,
the
but
yeah,
uh,
yeah. The
yeah,
dome the
yeah,
dome shape with the
yeah,
dimples.
yes,
And
right,
can I
and then
ask you one other
yes.
thing that I don't want to take us too far off track, but the dimples, does that
Mhm.
come from some of the golfing material things that you
Yeah,
did before that? Is that kind of
yeah.
why
Well, really, it
why
was.
those came to be?
Yeah, because actually, when I was speaking with Sid about tabs and how to get the best pull, in his mind, the understanding of what made a good tab was having additional surface area. So if you had some way to get additional surface area other than, every tab was going to be domed. There wasn't hardly anything that wasn't domed, at least for the round ones. But so they were all going to be domed, and he liked like the rings and stuff that were on the red Worth tabs. Those were there in his mind for additional surface area. And so he said, well, you just need to figure out some way to get more surface area, um, and but still be able to release glue, because all these rings and stuff, they catch the glue, and they're just a nightmare to clean up. And I'm a terrible golfer, but I like to play golf. And we had also done a few practice golf balls and things, but in my mind, I thought immediately that we could do a golf ball dimple and gain additional surface area, and it would be a nice release. And I think, in fact, it did accomplish that. It did grow the surface area. It did release glue much better. It's just that what we really learned later is that it's not. That's not the number one characteristic. It really who knew until really, I guess Keith, is the one that made the Black Plague tabs. Really took our market when he made the smooth flat surface tabs, and really that becomes that whole kind of vacuum effect, I suppose. With making sure that you don't have any air in between, so surface area on your surface was not quite as important as a smooth and flat surface, where you could keep the air out of the two substrates so that you could get a better bond. So yeah, that's we could geek out on tab design and tab evolution, the whole show, as far as I'm concerned, because that's where. So really, we went from the domed dimpled tabs, and then when Keith did his, we actually were, I would call it, somewhat out of the game for a minute, because I just wasn't going to copy his at all. But then, and he asked me to make his, so we were actually making his for some period of time. But that was, I felt like I was back in the contract manufacturing world again. I wasn't super happy about that, but I'd rather have a piece of it than nothing. So I was really driven to try to think of something unique and something better. And that's where I got this theory that it was that size of the shaft on the backside that was keeping us from being able to pull that center. And so, really, we just um, uh, first just machined down some tabs and tried it, and it seemed to work. Then we went ahead and built a mold, and of course, trying to we actually have load cells, so there's some math. So we got some load cells that help us to understand how many pounds we can pull on a certain glue face surface area. And so then we figured out about where it breaks, right? And then so then we came, if it breaks here, then we want to come above that, somewhere, but we don't want to, we can make it not break, but then you're going to be back to the the tabs of old, where you
Right.
still have that little dimple in the center that you're trying to pull out. So really, that's that variable shaft on the backside associated with called a ratio between the glue face and the then and the rib on the backside, the shaft on the backside is what is dead center technology, and what has really changed how the hail dents are pulled, and how you get that real sharp point that's much easier to knock down. And so I think it really did change that quotient, significantly between, less overall knockdown time, to finish a dent, which was really our goal.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's yeah, super cool. Yeah. Yeah, I just got to imagine waiting for that first mold to come back. It's got to be just, I don't know, you just do the no whammy, no whammy, no whammy, and do your first pull. And
Right. Yeah, that's right.
I don't know.
That's
I,
right.
I would imagine it ended in popping some champagne. But yeah, those tabs, yeah, have definitely changed the game for sure.
Yeah, and
Um,
I can and then as we did it in the round, and we didn't immediately think about doing it in the we didn't immediately think about doing it in crease tabs. But we were doing a bunch of videos here, and we had Jonathan in from Belgium, and we were doing a weeks long videos. Which, by the way, that was kind of funny, because we were in the shop here in Mustang, and man, it gets hot, 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 hot. And this was July, and gosh, I mean, it was upper 90s, and that's not something Jonathan's not used to that in his climate. I mean, he was sweating like crazy. We were fixing a Cadillac Escalade, and it had the engineer that worked for me, actually, his wife had run into backed in the garbage can when she pulled out of the driveway, and the edge of that plastic trash can had put some,
mhm,
there's some good sized dents, but there was some really sharps in there,
mhm,
and that, and there was no access in that quarter. And, we wanted to, film, all the way through, but just cut it up. And and Jonathan wanted to try to, finish it, with tools. But those sharps, he couldn't get in with any tools. And then we kept glue pulling and kept glue pulling. And we were using, at that time, both the black ice and the black plague crease tabs were, the best things that we had available, and just couldn't finish it. I mean, he just, Jonathan's, sweat is pouring down him, and like, we're frustrated, because we wanted to make a nice video, and we're all the way through, and he just couldn't finish it. And I said, well, what if we just take that black plague tab and we'll just shave that backside down? We'll shave that rib down, super narrow. I wonder if it'll pull. And Jonathan was like, nah, and he kept pulling, and he kept sweating. And then he was like, anybody got a grinder? And and so we went and got a grinder, and he took that tab, and he shaved that thing down, and put that thing on those sharp creases, and magic happened. I mean, like, we were all hot and tired, and somehow, we created the same thing we did with the rounds. We created just the ability to pull a sharp that hadn't existed, so yeah, it's really a lot of fun. So I would say, in answer to your earlier question, there's just a lot more trial and error, than there is, you know, you know, stuff on the blackboard, on the chalkboard. There's a little bit of both. There's a little bit of both. So
Right, right.
yeah,
Super cool. Super cool. Yeah, well, I like seeing how the sauce is made sometimes. So
yeah.
that's a great story. It's a really good story. Just grinding down a crease tab. I love it.
Mhm.
Love it, love it. So beyond just the tabs, and I mean we could stretch that out, like you say, for the whole episode. But I do want to kind of get into too. You guys just, I don't know, dove head first right into the collision industry. You're going into these body shops, and I mean you've basically coined the phrase GPR. You're trying to show people how these stud welders are obsolete, and I mean, it seems to me from the outside, and I go into a few body shops here and there, and one of them did buy a kit from you guys at SEMA. Uh, so I know it's working. How well is it working? Do you think? Are you getting the kind of penetration you were hoping for out there? And how is that transition? I mean, are you getting a lot of blowback from these guys? Like, I've been doing this with a stud gun my whole career, and you can take your glue and I don't know what
Yeah.
kind of reactions are you getting?
Well, I'd say it's always mixed, John, but mostly, and the momentum is just picking up and picking up all the time because, like I say, I I don't think there's any question that I would call it the lone ranger nature of PDR guys, that they are a little bit more by nature. There's a greater percentage of them that would be more progressive in their thinking of looking for the better way. And I think it's because of you know just being kind of on their own, and they've got they're not in a shop, they're not dependent upon somebody else trying to tell them what process to use. They just have to figure it out. And so I think there's a greater percentage of PDR guys that are what I was called just more progressive in their thinking, but there's a significant percentage of collision guys that are the same way, that really want what's best for the car, and that really have been, I'll just say, like, distraught over the fact that when they weld, they're damaging the front side of the panel, they're damaging the back side of the panel, and they can't put it back. They know they're doing the wrong thing for the car. And so it's been extremely rewarding to be able to help those guys with a better way. And not only is it the fact that it does less harm on the back side and less harm on the front side, those are a given, and that is a huge selling point with our system. But what I would call doing less harm, and our every presentation we ever do, we talk about the fact that doctors have to take a Hippocratic oath before they practice, and it starts with, first, do no harm. And
Hmm.
so basically, that's what we say GPR does. GPR starts with do no harm, and that isn't just the fact that we're not grinding paint off the front side and we're not burning E-coat off the backside. Really, it's about control and finesse, and it really has, what I would say, even in PDR, before glue pull, on bigger dents especially, but before glue pull was what I would call highly popular in PDR, there's a lot of pulling big dents, or pushing big dents with small surface area. And when you're trying to push, or even pull, like so let's just talk about PDR for a second. Pushing dents with a sharp tool, then you're going to end up creating distortion that then you have to go back and fix. So you're actually creating damage in order to fix damage. And same thing with stud welding. Forget about the damage to the backside and the front side, but you're working with a stud that's an eighth inch in diameter or something, and you're trying to pull a big surface, and you're going to get distortion, and then they're going to have to go back and fix that distortion. Well, when you more or less create a plastic tab that has the kind of surface area that's similar to the surface area of what created the dent, now you have tremendous control. You have the ability to finesse that dent out without creating harm, without doing, you're fixing it without creating more collateral damage. And I just think that that's what is the magic of glue pull repair. And that's why, when we go to trade shows, for PDR, when we go to trade shows for collision, I feel like we're just on the right side of the panel. There's way more development. There's way more growth on our side of the panel, than push tools. At this point, we're just, push tools we're ahead of us, and though there is still, innovation happening on that side of the panel, there's more room on our side, because there just wasn't as many tools and techniques available. So yeah, it is absolutely something that is changing the collision industry. And even after a COVID year, I just came back from CIC and so CIC is Collision Industry Conference, and then SCRS, the Society of Collision Repair Specialists, also have their meetings at the same time. And these are all industry leaders. I mean, these guys, all mostly own shops, and maybe some of the top, paint suppliers, would have salesmen there, but ultimately, this is, the leadership conference, for collision. And we just came back from Phoenix, and it was the first in-person meeting that we've had since January of 20. And it is amazing the difference in the understanding and the acceptance and the excitement around glue pull repair. I mean, even though the world's been what I would call halfway asleep for the last 16 months, they were awake enough to understand what's possible with glue pull repair. And to be honest, we, right before all the COVID stuff happened, we were really starting to hit our stride, and now we're just now hitting those levels. And I think the rest of the year is just going to be crazy for us with regard to shops, putting down their stud guns and picking up their glue guns. So, yeah.
That's super cool. Now the CIC and the other one that I can't recite all the four letters, SPI
Mm-hmm.
something.
SCRS. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Mm-hmm.
Those are more of a meeting, a conference, and like education day of
That's right.
MTE, but they don't have the vendors and the booths and the.
None of that. None of that. Yeah.
Does the collision industry have a show kind of like that?
SEMA.
So just one section of SEMA,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. SEMA, SEMA would be obviously the biggest event for collision, and there's a bunch of education the week of SEMA as well. We've been for the last two, so in 18 and 19, we were actually in 19 we were able to give a seminar at SEMA, and that really worked well. And we were going to do one in 20, and we will do one again in 21. But yeah, SEMA is really a great show nationally. And then there's smaller, you call it the state associations. The state collision associations typically have some collision shows that would have both education and vendors. But man, nothing, nothing touches MTE as far as what I would call just like the intimacy of meeting with a few hundred or a couple thousand of friends, acquaintances, that you've gotten to know mostly over the internet, and then what I would call I don't know, the feeding frenzy of technicians being so excited about new tools and being able to grab those new tools and take them home with them. Right.
Oh yeah.
It's a very unique event. I've not seen anything like MTE, in
Yeah.
any business. So
Well, I think our tools are so unique and so, I mean, the most minor of changes can make the biggest difference, and you can't really tell what a tool is going to do for you until you hold it in your hand. It's very difficult to glean that kind of information just from, a picture on a web page. So when we get to MTE and you can pick up a tool and hold it and feel it and then just be like, "Oh, now I get it." Yeah, that's a special thing. So I don't know if that holds true for body guys as much. So I guess I don't know if maybe that's why one of a show like that doesn't exist for that,
yeah,
perhaps. But
well,
outside of
there's a lot
SEMA,
of yeah, a lot about it, a lot of body guys at SEMA. I mean, that's for sure. But it is. I would say that it's more owners and managers, at SEMA than it is technicians. It's both, but yeah, there's, I would say that the collision technicians are, they don't have, you know, exactly what MTE is, right? So, yeah,
yeah, well, they can't all be winners, can they, Chris?
yeah,
So back to back to the collision realm. So you've been sending. I know. It, I shouldn't say you've been sending. I've been watching Gene Fetty do. He's been putting out a lot of content for you. And has he been going to body shops as well?
absolutely, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Listen, as you've seen, I mean, Gene puts together some tremendous content, but I'm just here to tell you, Gene is a teacher. I mean, like, he is a great, great teacher. I mean, he gets so much joy and energy out of taking a guy that doesn't understand, what end of the tab to put glue on, and teach them how to be able to rough out their body work and get it to a place very quickly and very efficiently and with least invasiveness possible, right? And it's really been a fun thing for me to follow him around and watch him teach, the technicians, because it's some people can do it, and but being a teacher is different. Even, like, there's even I always say it this way, that, like, there's the difference between preaching and teaching is that, a preacher can tell you the right way, but it's just kind of up to you on whether you listen or not. but
Right.
but if you're a teacher, then, and if I'm trying to teach you something, John, then I'm taking the responsibility for you learning. And that's the way we look at it, and that's the way Gene looks at it. I mean, he does not, oh, these guys don't get it. He's just not going to let that happen. He's going to
Yep.
make sure they get it, and he's going to connect with them personally, and Dave Shalat the same way. Dave's gone a number of places around the country, with me or without, and Dave's, a tremendous Dent guy and a great teacher. We've got, and a few other people that we've been working with, but yeah, for the most part, you know, uh, I would call Gene Fetty the guy with the most passion for teaching of anybody I've ever been around. So he's, and I think he teaches in, if he knows something about marketing, he wants to teach somebody that, right? If he knows something
Oh yeah.
about fixing dents, he wants to teach somebody that. And so, what I would also, for clarification's sake, I know you get it, John, but just for your audiences and our audiences understanding, what we're teaching these guys is pull the paint. Glue. GPR is not PDR, and because the expectation isn't that they're going to complete a dent to full PDR by using glue pull repair. They're just going to be able to call it quickly and efficiently, be able to rough out a good part of the dent, and then come in with their body filler, and sand and paint, as typical. So, um, to be honest with you, when we first started doing what we were doing, I feel like there was a fair amount of resistance among the PDR community, and actually some of my good friends in PDR. When I told them what I was planning to do, they said these guys are going to crucify you in PDR. They're not going to. They're going to be really against what you're doing, with the collision shops. And I said, I don't know why. I said, honestly, what we're going to do is, teach these guys to stop stud welding and start glue pulling. But there's going to be just enough understanding of what PDR is, that in fact it will elevate the position of PDR, not take away from it, because they sort of understand in collision how difficult PDR is. But
Hmm.
and I've watched this happen time and time again. Here's what happens. We teach them glue pull repair, and in a minute they start thinking, "Ooh, this is awesome. I can do this." And then they think, "Well, maybe I can finish this." And then, like, all of a sudden, as they're going through that and they start seeing how hard it is once you get to 85, 90% to get that panel flat, and how much time that takes, and how much you can make a wreck of it in trying to get it, from rough out to finish, that really the opinion of PDR is elevated exponentially by
Oh,
them
for sure, for
by them
sure.
going down the road of glue pull repair. So really, it's been a great process to go through. And I can remember when I got close to Gene, it was at a Ryan Hampton's Hale conference, and I'd given a kind of an update on glue pull repair, and at the end of that, you know Ryan kind of wanted to get me to tell what was possible, and what was going on with glue pull, and I did that. But at the end, I kind of talked about what we were going to do with collision, and I said, look, I think some guys, might be afraid of this, but that is what I would call a scarcity mentality of, like, trying to draw my hands up and let me just hold on to everything I can hold on to. And I said, look, that's, what we need to have as a PDR industry is an attitude of abundance, an
Oh
attitude
yeah.
an attitude of, man, let's collaborate, and let's work together. And like, this industry will grow, and it'll grow exponentially if it's more inside of collision than like on the outside of collision looking in. And I just believe that we've already begun to do that. And guys like Gene jumped on, immediately, because he saw it, and that's the way he thinks. And so anyway, it's
Yeah.
it's
And
it's
to be honest, the guy that ordered the kit from you guys when he saw you at SEMA,
mhm.
that particular body shop has called me more since they got your kit than they did beforehand, and he is more appreciative. And I always tell him, like, yeah, it's easy to get close. You don't pay me to get close. You pay me to get it done.
That's right.
And
That's right.
so, um, but yeah, I would just echo that putting these techniques and technologies into the body shops is better for us, because if they start with a stud gun and can't finish it, they're going to fill it. If they start with a glue gun and can't finish it, they might call us, a PDR tech, to come in and finish. There is that possibility. There's also the possibility they'll just call us from the start if they think it can be done right. But yeah, like I say, Mike's been calling me more and more since he got that kit, and honestly, he's asked me, well, what would you do here? How do you do that? And I'm happy to help him. And it's done nothing but grow our relationship, cement that. So any of you techs out there, if you see anytime I see PDR tools in the body shop, I want to talk to the guys and try to help them. Even if they're just using it to pick out lows and bare metal or whatever. I think anytime you can help someone, I think it's gonna be a better outcome for everyone. So yeah, the scarcity mindset guys and the people thinking that this is going to ruin our industry. I genuinely believe have their thinking backwards. I think the more
Amen.
we help, the more we help everybody, the better it's going to be for everybody. So uh, I just I would echo that. Uh, so you're doing all these educations. You've got Shalat, Big Dent Dave. You've got Gene Fetty. I mean, two
Mhm.
awesome guys. If you guys have never had a chance to talk with them at MTE or any event, I would strongly recommend it. Two both very smart guys. Um, so yeah, who else? Who else are you working with in that kind of regard?
You know, Jonathan in Belgium, Jonathan
Oh
Van.
yeah.
You know, we started with him, and it just got to the point where he couldn't travel over here enough. But he's doing some stuff in Belgium for us. He'll do some stuff in the UK for us now, and but yeah, and then here in the States, I would say that Hudson Tanzi's done some stuff with us, and he Hudson really loves to teach too,
Oh
and
yeah, absolutely. He
really
puts out
loves.
great video content
Yes.
I mean a young buck compared to some of the other guys you have working with you, but super smart, very knowledgeable, really good tech, and yeah, he is good, really good with putting out content as well. So
Yeah, and there's a common theme, with the guys that we have so far aligned ourselves with in being what I would call ambassadors of the Keco way, in is that when they teach, though they're confident guys. I mean, they're very confident guys, and guess what? Everybody's got somewhat of an ego in whatever business they're in, especially if they're good at it. But man, when they get in front of customers, they are extremely humble, and they have this real strong desire to connect both personally and professionally. And man, when we can do that, like it just wins. I mean, we are we end up making great customers and great friends all at the same time, and that's what Gene does. That's what Dave does. That's what Hudson does when he works with us. And over the course of time, I'm sure we'll need more help, but that will be the recipe. We absolutely want guys that are humble and desire to connect and teach, right, as they're showing and training, how the Kiko system works. So
right, awesome. So yeah, so you touched on it briefly with when talking about Jonathan, but you recently announced your partnership with TDN, which is huge. Obviously, TDN is, I mean, I don't know, the biggest PDR company on the other side of the pond. They basically do everything. I mean, it's not just the carts. If guys don't realize it, I mean, obviously the TDN cart is famous over here for many reasons. It's a great cart. But they do so much more over there. They've got their Axiom shops. They're selling tools.
mhm.
They're doing education and training and everything else. So how does Kiko fit in with what they're doing over there? And did I miss anything that they're doing?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
they do
So
so much.
yeah, so here, for I guess a point of clarification. Yeah, the two partners there. I say, well, the three partners there is first and foremost it was Jordan Fisher and Tony Hodgson, and then of course when they started to get and they had TDN Group, which was a PDR services business, fleet service and hail repair. And then they had the tools distribution business that they started, and the training business, right? So that was the three segments. And then when they jumped into body shops, the 300 group is who helped them get started in that is how I think it would be fair to say. And then as they've continued into the body shop market, I mean, there's a lot of effort and focus needed there, and so and we had a strong desire to be have our own foot, to be able to what I would call control the focus a little bit and control the resources toward glue pole repair, though we absolutely don't want to forget PDR in any way, but we want to be able to what we've done to go to collision shops with glue pole repair in the States. We wanted to replicate that in the UK, and so really it began to. And TDN is a company that we have admired for some time. Kevin Andrews, who runs the tools and training side, he and I became friends. I don't know, maybe it's 4 years ago or some such time. And then, he's actually been to SEMA. He took vacation from TDN and came to SEMA to work with us. And though Kevin's not done any training with us, and of our customers, so I didn't mention him earlier. He's been a big part of what we're doing because he and I have become friends and we talk regularly. And he came, to SEMA and was part of our crew doing demonstrations at the booth in SEMA, because that's a grind. I mean, we need at MTE, it's a couple days so we can get by with one or two technicians. But man, at SEMA, you need a stable of 5 guys because it's a 5 day show. I mean, it's just a lot of
Oh,
a lot
I
of work.
can
So
I can
anyway,
imagine the grind. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah. Oh, it's
I,
crazy. But yeah, so that's how I got to know Kevin real well, and Craig Reed as well comes over and helps us. And both really great glue pull guys. But anyway, getting to know Kevin and seeing what the curriculum that he was able to create with the EV courses, and then understanding better the curriculum that he was able to create on the PDR training side. It was something that, as we continue to develop our own curriculum, and as we want to take our training to the next level. And I think that Jordan and Tony had a desire to focus more on, they had then 4 silos of their business. They had the body shop, the PDR service business, the tools and the training. So they had, really probably too much divided focus. And so they've decided more to focus on the body shop and the PDR service, which gave us an opportunity to come in there and get hold of the TDN, the tools and training side of it. And that so Kevin will continue to run that operation over there. He's done a fantastic job. He's been running it for Jordan and Tony for a few years. Uh, Colin is a great trainer, does a great job training over there. Sam and it does a great job with the websites, and
oh
and
yeah.
Raquel does marketing stuff, and Kelly does all kinds of everything else, right? So it's a small team, but man, they are a very, very capable, very, very professional team that they've already, started to think about and begin to focus more on glue pull repair and going to what they call panel shops, over there, and being more focused on the collision industry. And so that's what we're going to do together over there is focus on the collision industry and bringing glue pull repair. And then, you know, I think that we'll have the opportunity over time to enhance our training offering here in the States. To be able to have really what I think might be the best PDR training in the world that they've created over there. We will probably have the opportunity to be able to offer that here as well. And so yeah, there's a ton of synergies, but it all starts around the opportunity with glue pull repair and collision. Um,
Right.
but but certainly, the PDR tool distribution business is something that we've been in a little bit, but again, it's not our focus. And the training side is we are very focused on training in glue pull repair, but we get what I would say a fair amount of interest in PDR training from some of our customers as well. So we think that will be a great synergy all the way around. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've had the opportunity to work with the guys over at TDN as well, and I've got to meet Jordan and Sam, and they're a good time to hang out with at TDN for sure. If you guys have a chance to grab a point, that was more Irish. I'll work on it.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you can hang out with those guys, yeah, definitely buy
Yeah.
them a beer. Buy them a beer, or if they'll let you, and it's a good time for sure. Um, yeah, yeah. So that's very exciting. Expanding internationally. Got to love it.
And
And then
we've got one more big international move that I think will get done hopefully within the next month. So we'll be hopefully coming back with another big exciting move. So yeah.
oh, which accent should I work on for that one?
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. Yeah.
No clues. All right. I tried to tease it out of them here, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's awesome. So uh, super cool. I thank you so much for coming on here. It's always good talking to you. We're right about that hour mark here. So
Okay.
I don't. Is there anything that I forgot to mention that, or anything that you wanted to talk about that these guys maybe might want to hear?
Uh, Gosh, I know that you know you mentioned the body shops, and that if our PDR friends out there can help the body shops get to glue pull repair and be less invasive, then that would be. It does grow the relationship. It just does, and so the best way to do that would be to introduce them to. We hired a body, one of the best body technicians in the world, as far as I'm concerned. Danny Hacker's a great guy. Moved his family, from Tennessee to here. Just started, and he's doing creating a ton of content for us and connecting with the body guys. But he does virtual demonstrations. So if any of the PDR guys out there know a body shop that might want to, see a virtual demonstration on kecotabs.com, they can have their body shop friends reach out and be able to get that virtual demonstration. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Very cool. Yeah. Get your shops on the virtual demonstrations. Help them out. If
Mhm.
you help them, they'll help you. It all works in tandem. Um, and one more thing then before we go from me is I want to say thank you to you. Keco has, in my mind, been kind of on you guys are always exploring the new things in the industry and testing out and pushing those boundaries outward. You were the first company to carry a dent reaper besides dentreaper.com, and that started a domino effect for me. And whether that was due to you guys doing it or those other dominoes were getting ready to fall, I don't know. I'll never know. But you were the first domino, so I appreciate that, and I appreciate just everything. Like I say, being on that cutting edge, pushing the perimeter outward, and helping further the growth. I think you guys are definitely one of those companies in our industry that is helping that, and uh, the more we do that as a whole, I think the better for everybody. So, I mean, I don't want to take anything away from anybody else that is also doing that. We have a ton of great companies, a ton of great influencers in our industry that are pushing those boundaries. And I just want to say thanks for being one of those companies, man.
No, that's awesome. We love and respect innovation, and that's what we saw. With your product early on, is that and to be honest, I mean, we didn't know. We don't know enough about push tools to know exactly how successful it would be, but we saw that it was different. And when you can see that something is different, and you respect innovation and call it embrace new ideas and change, then that it made it easy to do. And then just who you are has made it really easy to continue to work together. So I couldn't be happier with how that's turned out, for you. And I know we've got a lot more to do in the future together, John, more than
Yeah,
more than a lot of people know, I think. So yeah.
yeah. We'll see how that all we'll
Yeah,
see how
yeah,
that all plays out. I think
yeah,
Christmas is coming, so
yeah. We just
I
don't know
do.
when,
Exactly, exactly.
right?
All right, you guys
Yeah,
will get that joke later, maybe. But yeah, thanks again for coming on today, and yeah, guys, check out Keco. Get your glue pole repair. How dare I screw that one up right at the end? We almost made it. Get your GPR game in order, and if you need a virtual uh, demonstration, reach out to Keco, and I know they're willing to help. And until then, guys, live your dreams.
Just wanted to thank you for listening to another episode of Dents and Dreams. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, compliments, or complaints, I can be reached at Dent Reaper across social media. And be sure to subscribe to the Dents and Dreams Facebook group and or YouTube channel, because that's where it'll happen if and when we go live. Thanks again.